G'day guys, Sam here from To Prospa to give you a crypto review. And what we'll be doing is looking at a few charts, try and make some sense of it, and I suppose do an update from what we did in the past week or so, give you an update of what we can do to trade this and the possibilities of a good entry. Right now, we can see Bitcoin dropped a bit, and also doing much worse. If we look at the list of crypto here, a lot in the red, geez, somewhere in the 35%. Okay, what's the best one? Okay, let's have a look at the other charts for a sec. Margin, Binance margin. All the good coins are doing bad, 6-7% drop. No surprise, guys. So what I have, and you will look at my charts from a number of perspectives, and I have many charts from different perspectives just to see the correlation between pivot points and Fibonacci and so on. What we have right now is a level, and what we can do is try to learn lessons from the previous and make sense of it. So our current level here is pretty much last stand, really. If we look at this here, you can see what took place. Let's just make them dark. I'll make it red. The lessons learned. We have this formation, so you can break this formation to two bits or two phases, right? And we're doing the same here. This was a phase, which was a rising wedge, and this is a second phase. So we're just breaking it down. We don't care about the first phase because it's done with, rising wedge, and it dropped, and we saw the response, and 70% of the time, something like this will drop to the downside. There's always a possibility that it can go up, but when we look at other materials, other charts, you will change your mind. You'll be bearish. And I'll explain, well, we'll have a look at those charts as well. While we're bearish, been bearish for some time and continue to be bearish, and there's no reason why not. I don't think quantitative easing will come anytime soon, and that was the reason why we had this bull run. Now, I'm just going to stick to this chart for short term, and what we have, like I said, is this flat level. Give me a sec. Make it strong, rip back. Yep. We have a number of moving averages. I'm not sure why this chart doesn't have them, but that's the 200 on the weekly SMA, and we're way below it. Historically, that was a good sign. And this chart is the index. I'm not sure why it's not showing the rest of it. Interesting. There we go. And you can see in the past that was holding it up on many occasions. Yep, we had a drop down like that, but that's a COVID event, a black swan event. We don't have that yet. So what we're looking at, the 200 weekly moving average, and if we were to change this to, I think it was the RMA, you'll see last stand. RMA, 200 weekly RMA is acting as support. So when we lose that, I think we're going to significantly drop. And I align this behavior with the previous fractal over here. And those who haven't seen that video, you can see it in the YouTube channel, and it's there as one of those items where it's the BTC fractal. So have a look at how I correlate these guys. So here, I would imagine back then, I can't recall how I felt at the time, but I would imagine that people thought this was the bottom, because we dropped, what, 70% at the time, and that's a big drop from the top to the bottom, and that does look like, in one term, a reversal. And if we were to, so this is the daily, let's just get the weekly for a sec. And if we look at this on the weekly perspective, at the time, actually the RSI did a good job there, didn't it? Really flat. And most people would have thought, okay, this is a squeeze. And the squeeze could have been thought to be the upside as well. And then I think it dropped significantly more with a 95% drop or something like that. Let's have a look. 83% drop. All right. Why did they do that? Oh, yeah. So that was an 83% drop, and we should just look at our drop now, and that is 74%. Where does 83% take us? 83 takes us to 11,000, give or take. You can say, okay, 84%. It makes sense that it drops down to this Fibonacci level, 84, 85. which is about 10K. 10K is a good number, and I'll show you why. And it's got some good Fibonacci levels, and you can see historically it was I think it was like 3 years from 2018. Yeah, from there all the way there. It was our main resistance. So it started from 2018 to 2020, two and a half years maybe. Yep, just round it off, 3 years. So this summer, February to October. Yep, so nearly 3 years as a resistance. It's going to make sense that when it comes down to here, we're going to have a strong support. And what do I think that's the case? I think this level is the target for the short term. I do think we're going to got to find the good balance, and these 200 moving averages will probably just knock us back down A, B, C, and then back up. I'm not telling you where I think how low it's going to go, but there's no point to it anyway. I'll just be guessing. But my interest is 10K, and if it drops more, average more in. But we'll see how that goes. Now, looking at this on I think it was a daily. How we trade this? I'm still looking to short, guys, and I do think that this line here, give or take, either the blue one. I think if I take the log off, it'll be a bit better. This line here, I do feel like this. If we do get a cup shape, or some sort like this, a nice green candle, if we get something like that, and break a particular level. So that's our level to break. If we get a cup shape and we break that level, it's going to go. And it's going to go, and it's going to break this trend line or resistance. And the stops here will pretty much, the shorts here will pretty much close the shorts. That will push it up more. And will it have the momentum to get to here is the trick. If the shorts close here, it might give it might give a bit of a push to even to get to there. That's 9% move, possible. So I do see that being the main area of resistance. Now let's look at Fibonacci perspective. Yep, 618. That's probably why we got that one in the first place. However, if the market's really weak, we can just do that, and we end up here, and we just drop back down. So there's two levels I'm interested in shorting, and if you see the double top with on the 4 hour or 3 hour, whatever it is, then it will come back down, and then we'll just go sideways and down. Now let's look at why we look at this play. I want to get the Dixie for a sec. The Dixie, okay, it's finding resistance on that trend line, this level. So it's going to be interesting how that works out. It's actually using this 10 and 20 moving average on the 8 hour as support at the moment. And until we drop below this 10 and 20 moving average, which is that ribbon, Dixie is still going to go up. SP500. Actually, that's not the chart I want. Let's look at some other chart. SP500 on this one. Okay. This is the daily chart. And I believe we just dropped, right? It's still live, yes. So we dropped the 200 on the weekly on the SP500, and this chart is 15 minutes or half an hour late, so it's probably more. I'm not sure what I got this trend line for. Does it make sense? I don't know where I got this from. Just let's remove that for a sec. So I've talked about wave 5 could be down here, and then we get this bounce. I've talked about the correlation between this environment and the 2008 bear market. And what we said was that this behavior here is matching. So right here, we've got the 200 weekly moving average. Ever so slowly, we get a bit of a bounce, and then we lose it, and we find the resistance, and then we go down a fair bit. There's more similar to that, like I explained. So you can see how the 200 weekly moving average comes into play. This I think is the RMA. So I'm not surprised that this will come down to this level, and then we find the bounce. And the 200 weekly moving average is likely to push it down, and we get that movement. We had that, I think. Yeah, we had that movement there. They do come in handy, these 200 weekly moving averages, as resistance. So from that perspective, we are bearish at the moment. I don't know if the CPI's results have come in, or the inflation rates. So we can see SP 500 really struggling at 3,500. I have a NASDAQ chart, which it actually, so we've dropped. So that was our bearish move today. The NASDAQ, which is more correlated to crypto as a risk asset. And you can see that was like a swing failure on the smaller time frame. Beautiful entry. That's a big move, isn't it? So what I've done with this chart, here we correlate to previous support. There's 3 levels. So I had a look more and anticipate that we're going to find support somewhere around these. So it's coming down to the last one, this level. And by looking at this fib extension, not sure how I did that. Okay, just that wave. Short term, these fit in to these support lines. That not necessarily means that it's going to stay there, but we might find the support here, and we might find a bit of a bounce from the NASDAQ. Would that mean Bitcoin does it as well? Potentially. But like I said, many occasions, this is likely to be short-lived and come back down more. So we've got this Fibonacci level as a resistance. Hold on, let's do this. If we find a bounce, we can just, yeah, so there we go. I can put that up there. The 0.618 is probably going to be a resistance. We had support here and resistance here. So that band is going to be our main resistance if we get a bounce here. And that's going to be a shorting entry as well. The worst case scenario is up there. The market's down. All the main indicators are showing that. Here we go. Dixie is looking with upward pressure, and therefore the likes of crypto is also going to find this not a strong bounce, but a small bounce. And I've explained it today on my optimism TA that if we find that, let's just go on the smaller time frame. If we find a bit of support that comes back up, there's a lot of reasons why this is going to be an area that will close a lot of shorts that could push it up. And then as it gets towards this range, because there was a lot of shorts that are probably still in, they'll start closing it. A fair bit will close. Once this goes up, the ones will push it, it will accelerate. But we've got a few levels that are going to act resistance. And if you look at that, sideways trading still, we're not there yet. Because the SP 500 and the NASDAQ are still within that area of support. So we might just go sideways a bit, but the lessons have been learned from the past. And I'll bring it up here. If you look at the behaviors, that's what we're going to look at. I still think this is a good area for referencing. If you look at close up, we're probably experiencing this area here or there, one of those. How many counts have we got? We've got 1, 2. This is a clear move up, so that's 2 bounces, that's 3. This is the 4th, and this is the 5th. So the 6th one, it just drops. But what you see is after let's just say this phase and that phase, that's 2. The third one, you can see how the 200 on the 4-hour act as resistance as well. But we don't really actually find much strength from the bounce. So this is a 8-hour chart, we might hang around here for a while, move up, and then continue to stay above that is a key line. All right. So what we need is to identify the key line. And I think I've done it. There are 2 particular ones. Let's have a look at those. And correlate lessons learned. So we want to see a breakout to go bullish, slightly bullish, to find the shorting position. Okay. We need to change our mind. We need to see lots of volume. Now the key lines on this chart, the horizontal, and you get the body of the candle, that body, and that body. So that, I'll make it blue. That is a key line for me. We use the body of the candles, and the worst case, and what we use as secondary, it could come down to this level here. But I think that will show a lot of weakness if it comes down to here. I don't think it will bounce back up. I will use this level here because that's our reference point, and realistically we're there, right? I can make that dotted. I'll just get rid of that. That was an old line, was a trade. So you can see an ascending triangle of some sort, and it just broke down. We can use this formation short-term wise as a target. So that's the target for it. Based on this shape, that's the target. We're going to head down to 17,600, and I think from then on, it's just going to go down further. It wouldn't surprise me though. It just depends how this drops. If it drops strong, we can find the strong bounce, but then come back down. We've got too much resistance. We've had a chance to go bullish. This formation is pretty much a bearish structure in most cases, and you can't find a reason to go bullish. For the short term, we'll probably see a bit of a move like that, and then we'll find either an entry there for short or further up. But it's if you look at the previous fractal, that was our first point. Second, this is actually our third. So we haven't touched the bottom that much. I think the 4th touch will make it down. 3 touches hasn't confirmed that this is a strong support. Actually, this is 2 there. There's 2 points there, sorry. So we can say that is 2 and 3, and this is our 4th. So we should be able to get the 4th could still go down, but the 5th one definitely. But that's my thinking. The more we touch a particular side, the more likely it's going to break. Here we've got 1 touch, 2 touches, 3 touches. If this makes it there, that's 4 as well. We also have the other direction to look at. We can say this formation is also a channel to the downside. So if we were to, we could potentially come to the middle of this channel over here before we found the bounce, and then further down to that area. Bearish all the way through, as you can see, my orientation. SP 500 is not going to help us to be bullish. NASDAQ we already talked about. What I want to see is that I want to see US tether. Sorry guys. Okay, so we're breaking that. Been keeping an eye on that for a while. We've gone bullish, and now you see it's touched the next level with tether dominance. So we've got this level, flat level, and that's where we are next level up. So this is continuously moving up. Previous capitulation was there. It would not surprise me to find the bottom again there. So we could get a double top and then come down. So wherever this level is, what I did was look at this structure, and I do believe that this is wave 5 on its way. So this was wave 3, wave 4, and I think what do I do here? I said 1, 2, 3, 4, and potentially 5 here. It wouldn't surprise me that it's still anywhere between there and there. If you look at tether dominance, it's not quite showing at the moment. Well, let's do the daily. Let's just get rid of all this again. So we're finding, I put my Fibonacci based on this wave or impulse, and you can see how the Fibonacci is acting. And so we are at a key level right there, based on the measured move from there to the breakout. So this is a triangle structure, and we're breaking, and I'm using this triangle structure. The smallest one and the biggest one could be further. Small one is there. The bigger structure, we can also say that's the case, and that could be much higher to there. So that's why I got my range with this top. So potentially this could continue on. Either we get a double top, and we come down and maybe just continue up to this level here. We can probably hit. So yeah, it depends on the scale, obviously, but we can just probably hit that high. I think if we were to ever get that high, that will be the bottom. It might be a wick, very quick, very similar to these guys. And wherever, if you're watching it live, it's probably a good time to buy wherever that is there. The other option is here, and I did that with my measured move. Yep. So that measured move here, the is pretty much there. So I'm hoping that it gets to that level, and that will be probably my majority of entry. And depending on the formation, we could probably go higher, but I'm not really thinking of that the case. in most cases, when you have something like a rising wedge or so, it tends not to make, the last one tends not to hit the trend line. It falls short. So I'm looking for, we're basically taking profit. So with our psychology, tether dominance, if it goes up and spikes this area, whatever that affiliates to or aligns with, that's probably the bottom of and a good entry. So I'm looking at these tools across the board. If we look at Ethereum, oh geez, short term. This is a 5-minute chart. It's not the chart I wanted. Look at CRV. That's what I got. I'm not going to explain that one. So DOT was one of the ones I was really interested in. And if you look at this, let's see, this is probably a better chart, short term. DOT has really broken down the structure, and you start looking short in guys. That I don't think that's going to go above. Could be a fake out, but if we look at that, DOT's broken. So this was a bear flag, I believe, of some sort. We've broken to the downside a fair bit. Now for it to really go bullish, it has to break these levels, and I don't see that happening, especially when it's gone sideways so much and then we just dropped. It's doing what optimism's doing, and that's basically is lost momentum. So if this was to come up here, if you see that formation, it's worth taking the risk. Have your stop losses tight and see. I look for a rejection candle on the 4-hour or the 8-hour at the moment, but I do see this potentially coming there and further down. And if we look on the daily for this chart, let's do this. I'll just get rid of all those lines that I did. Do the count, Elliott wave count. I do see this coming down a fair bit, this box range. So from $2.60 to $3 or $4, I see that's probably where this is going to end up. This is Y3 and 4. Y3 and 4. Let's see what it's got. This is what we're going to reverse. Hold on, give me a sec. This is confusing here. This was for another scenario. Come on, what is that doing? So that's 0, 1. Yeah, so we've got our 1.414 extension and 1.618. So it could end up here. So we use this structure to measure the target on the downside. There is a possibility that it's just here, because that's the meat of the point of control that aligns on this Fibonacci. So it can, 5 could be here as well, but really it just depends how hard it comes down based on Bitcoin. So we have that range. All these 3 Fibonacci's are pretty much the bottom, I think. If it comes down to here, that I think that'll be a good buy. $2.70. I'll put some reserve orders there. It could capitulate really hard and then bounce in that area, very much like the other coins where you get this wick and then the rest is flat. So if you get that, this could be the bottom as well. Good shorting opportunity. If this was to come back up again, XRP, I think this will be a topic formation, pretty much. Oh no, I lost my mouse. And then we'll just find an entry on this trend line to further go down. So this 200 move is on the daily, could be holding it up for a while. Interesting. Bit of redness there. Hard times to trade. So yeah, I do expect. So this is Bitcoin on the 1 hour. Why did I lose my mouse? Oh, yeah. Using the trackpad now. So we have on the for Bitcoin on the 1 hour, we've got this channel. It's on the bottom of the channel. It's also matching those areas, so we should get a decent bounce. And like I said, could be a short squeeze. Any shorts to be squeezed to the upside. So I'm going to leave it at that, guys. Just touched on a few indicators. SP 500 showing bearish signs. Can't go bullish on this. We can look for a reversal candle on the shorter time frames. That is a weekly, isn't it? Here we've got the 4 hour with the futures. Let's look on that on the 4 hour. Yeah, so we've got a bit of a support there. Just looks bearish. All right, that's it. Talk to you soon. Hopefully that helps you out. Cheers.